came through and our, well, 2-minute or so tech pause was in, Wildcard was able to, just with the snap of a finger, reset and rejuvenate themselves into back-to-back round victories and the map victory off the back of it as well.
We highlighted a lot of lack of information for the attack attempt from taking Kings towards Bunker, as well as I believe over towards Freezer, which they didn't put any players towards, so they didn't have any control towards that Freezer door to cut down that angle of approach either, which did get them a kill when trying to move in from mirror stage. There was too many issues with that attack, but it was the total opposite result when it came back the other way for the attack from the Wildcard Aces. They knew everything. They had vision galore. They knew where they were lying in wait. Great job to clear out Wumbo, who was trying to play over towards Harry Potter. They knew that a player was initially towards Bunker, but they do like to leave that open, so they just completely ignored the approach. The tantalizing treat that they left up in the open, don't go to it. It's a bait. Go the other way, get the heck out of dodge, and they did that wonderfully. Just play at range. The Moss Spur can't do as much damage. And I think at the end of the day, they're going to be very happy with their result. A very close matchup on their map pick. And if the Taken Kings can showcase the same level of prowess they did just yesterday against Method on Bank, I'm thinking this is going to have to go to Chalet again, just like yesterday, Dan.
Hey, it may no longer be 2020, but social distancing is still the best way to stay healthy, just this time when you're playing up against a shotgun instead of a random disease that popped out of left field. Anyway, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to break down the stats of Map 1 and set ourselves up for Map 2 with Bank.
there's no one else who loves me like you used to. Some days I'm not myself, there's no one I can turn to. And I know all the feelings that we shared are in the past. And I know your relationships are never meant to last. It might take some time, but I'll be alright. I'm moving on, I'm moving on. I know times are tough, but I've had enough. I'm moving on, I'm moving on. Moving on, moving on. I know times are tough, but I've had enough. I'm moving on, I'm moving on. Some days there's no one else who loves me like you used to. Some days I'm not myself, there's no one I can turn to. And I know all the feelings that we shared are in the past. And I know your relationships are never meant to last. It might take some time, but I'll be alright. I'm moving on, I'm moving on. I know times are tough, but I've had enough. I'm moving on, I'm moving on. I know times are tough, but I've had enough. I'm moving on, I'm moving on. I'm moving on.
Talking to myself and I can't focus. Yeah, I'm broken. The door is closing. Wanna be a part of something more than this. I've lost control of it. Oh, seeing the stars reminds me of you. Oh, oh, oh. You left me with scars, but I know that one day you'll see it through. You see it through. You see it through. Eh. You see it through. You see it through. We're gonna live forever, forever. The afterlife. We're gonna live forever, forever. The Talking to myself and I can't focus. Yeah, I'm broken. The door is closing. Wanna be a part of something more than lost control of it. Oh, seeing the stars reminds me of you. You left me with scars, but I know that one day you'll see it through. You'll see it through. You'll see it through. Hey. You'll see it through. See it through. We gonna live forever, forever. The afterlife. We gonna live forever, forever. The afterlife.
A pair of jeans, a shirt or two. We didn't pack as if we weren't going back. It doesn't matter if it's true. I've got a feeling love will give us what we lack. The world is waiting up. The world is waiting half a step beyond our door. Yeah. And if it's not enough, I wanna see the stuff the world has got in store. I wanna take it all in, I'm falling. The cityscape by night, wanna catch in my photos. Where you go, every corner twice as bright. They'll be my treasures forever. When I can't hold you tight, I'll see the Stockholm lights. The Stockholm lights, the Stockholm lights. Tomorrow feels a year away, like the seconds, the beginning and the end. But if in time it's yesterday, your picture's gonna bring it home to me again. The world is waiting up. The world is waiting half a step beyond our door. And if it's not enough, I wanna see the stuff the world has got in store.
Wildcard Gaming Aces pick Oregon and win it, albeit a little bit longer than it should have taken them. That's a word. But an 8-6 victory nonetheless, and a 1-0 series lead for them here in our Game Rogue $1,000 Summer Splash Grand Finals. I'm Tom Delight. Joining alongside me here is Infernosis and Scott. Into map 2, it's Bank, but Oregon, I think, really told the tale of how close this series is.
You watch the beginning of that, you wouldn't think it was that close of a series.
Yeah.
That was a rough performance from the Taken Kings. The only reason they managed to vie back in to reach OT was very similar to the same reason they did the exact same thing against Method on the first map of Clubhouse. Very close rounds that go just slightly in the Taken Kings' favor off of random sprees for change-up strategies that give them a 3K fairly quickly. And man advantages are important. I was highlighting that so much throughout the entire map. Taken Kings were not getting an early man advantage. They were acquiescing first blood. Their entries didn't feel great, and there's a reason for that. Look down at the bottom of your screen. Scoop went 0 for the entry, -1 for Vipolar and Burnt Turkey, 0 for Wumbo. Jack Con went -2. Every player went technically positive for the side of Wildcard, except for JJ, who, to be fair, is having a lot of issues plaguing them, so we won't harp on them too much.
JJ went negative in terms of KD and entries, but was still above 50% cost. Hey, he was still above 50% cost. It's okay. Twizzler had like back-to-back rounds to get some more pop-off potential, hence the reason that it seems his cost is a little lower. I have to point out, though, Wildcard on a statistical level are not as outstanding in terms of you look at a map or you look at a series and say, oh, this team is miles ahead. A lot of the time, their games and specifically their rounds come back to very narrow margins. And as we move into Bank as our second map, I think that may very well become even more prevalent considering what we've seen from them prior. Now, the last time they played this, they won 7-3. They looked pretty good at doing so, but I'm still a little concerned because if they are quickly caught out and forced away on this defensive side, of which they are very lucky to start on, they're going to have some problems coming back on the attack.
I believe the Taken Kings are strongest on the defense for this map when it comes to the defensive office. Their basement defenses were fairly okay. They had an interesting idea that they utilized twice where they would extend up into open and completely defend open when they were defending down in basement, which is okay. Method tried to bring that out themselves. He immediately got destroyed. Taken Kings did a much better job about it when they brought it in that second half. But their defensive office was absolute. Method had no chance whatsoever to try to get control of that one because Scoop would just run out of the map. Scoop would just dive out a window. Had one opportunity. They were a Warden. I'll add a little bit of context here, which is why I'd be shocked if the Warden ban goes through here. I think they kind of have to default to something similar. The Montaigne ban, yeah, they didn't like the idea of it. They banned it yesterday as well. They don't want it moving in from tunnel. But they went out of the window, up and off, sprayed down the first person that was on the square window rappel, turned up to look at the person that was on hall window rappel, and were flashbanged. And instead of popping the gamer shades to deny that flashbang, they stood there blind, spraying and praying, popped it finally just long enough to see themselves get shot. And there's the Warden.
Wow, Warden again banned.
Target
this
banned
time
the
by the
opposing side.
Wildcard Aces. I think the most notable aspect of this, when you're looking at this map and saying, how is this different than what we've seen prior? Wildcard Aces have banned Twitch and Warden in back-to-back maps of Bank. They did the same thing against Silly Geese in their semifinal matchup about 5 hours ago or so. But against them in that match was two very different attacking and defender bans. They had a Ying and Goyo banned out, meaning that the bottom floor defense was significantly more difficult for them. Albeit, they played it a single time, they were unsuccessful in defending it, and then went there only one more time throughout the map, at least the first half, and then won it. They had a 5-1 first half, and they started on the defensive side. If Taken Kings do not pick up, I'm going to say 2 rounds minimum, 3 rounds to be safe, this game's going to end fairly quickly, and it's not going to be for the Taken Kings.
Defensively, the Wildcard Aces get to start off first and foremost. And where else would you go, Dan, but down into the basement? Personally speaking, you're going to pick an objective. Pick what you're best at first and foremost. And when you're talking about a map like Bank and or Oregon, honestly, we're talking about a map like Clubhouse as well. Where else but the basement? It's almost like the geographic advantage of being down underground makes it a much easier side to defend. Who truly knows if that is the case? Or I'm just spouting out my rear. We'll have to know in the end. Jack,
Nah,
go and use the skeleton cleat.
Australia sucks at Rainbow Six. That's not true.
That's what it is. Okay, yeah, all right. So I am wrong here. Repel being utilized here for the Taken Kings up towards office. They did this fairly well against Method, but Method did a good job of cutting him out in the first few rounds of actually taking engagements over towards the office side. But a drone will force the first player that was over towards elevator down the hatch and down to the first floor. And the second one makes a hasty retreat away from stocks down the stairwell as well. And the Taken Kings have seemingly been given control of the second floor here, with only 40 seconds having been passed up to that point.
Keep looking to drop here. I believe one's inside of the other elevator. Riot could be cleared here. Their position now noted, but the hatch is open, interestingly enough, for the defensive side. And Bry, there for some help, has actually dropped Scoob. It was a bait setup. And with more than enough help, they've actually turned it into an opening kill. Bry wants to swing again, may have the opportunity to do so. They don't know where that beeper set up, though. If he knows that it's in towards the second elevator, he should be able to swing for the kill, but instead will play a little bit more passive, and the Wildcard Aces will retain the man advantage for the time being, and a minute and a half into the round, they're happy to just back away a little bit more.
Vipo is forced to hold back a little bit further as the fire continues to spray across the ground. Burnt Turkey, though, off screen to rip apart JJ, equalizing the man count for both sides. Whistler lagging behind an open area. Has some level of assistance though. The rest of the team down inside basement already. Some control towards security. Vipo will make a lot of noise once stepping through the beepers. Teammate in open means no one can fire back though. But the audio cue tells the Wildcard Aces that Taken Kings have control of that hatch. And the hatch inside of desk will also be doomed to fall quickly afterwards. Right inside of garage, this is probably the more dangerous angle to currently be lying in wait. May need to see the Taken Kings try to breach down this wall as fast as possible. And unfortunately, they'll need Jetcon there to do so, and Jetcon's very low on HP. Relying on this man to get anything would be a tough task. You can also clear away some space by utilizing nades from those hatches previously mentioned, try to zone away very impact players like Bry, who was forced to step away from garage for that moment.
Andel's dropped. Wumbo may very well just jump into garage. I don't know if they saw Bryzy walk down. They apparently didn't, but his position now noted and denied. Burnt Turkey gets the diffuser down, a 3v3, and those Vulcan canisters playing no part in the denial of a diffuser plant. Twizzler being held from the garage single rotate, but didn't know it, and Jetcon's able to turn it into a kill. Information gaining a difficulty for the defensive side, and they've run out of utility. A Rima Dash would be very well utilized, but for a flank down the main stairs, it's a kill back for Burnt Turkey, and Bino left alone. A pincer maneuver set up for the defensive side, and the attack turns into a round victory and exploits the fact that the rotation was caught out. It's an opening round for the Taken Kings, and the bottom floor in back-to-back banks is unsuccessful for the wildcard defense.
Great setup for the attack. The Taken Kings honestly kind of got away with it. Bry going unnoticed for so long. The initial drop player swinging direct into the A sites. And still the second drop by Uriana. Vipoa somehow coming away with that kill. Unprecedented. Scraping that win by, but a great collection of kills, a flurry of them on site. Garner you very much success when it comes to the tank. Starting now 1-0. The Taken Kings will have to regress now over towards office, or I think they'll see dining. It's maybe break, but break and open area for the defense of the Wildcard Aces. Still bringing out the Fenrir. You're not banning it. You're pretty much guaranteed to bring it out. And what an interesting selection for a veto phase. I know we highlighted it very shortly. Montaigne target ban. The Taken Kings did that on Bank just yesterday as well. They did not like that method, brought it out towards the end of Clubhouse. Wildcard Aces taking out the Twitch as well as the Warden, meaning for the attacking side, there was no standard ban anywhere on the board. A very much so targeted assessment of who they wanted to ban out, which is pretty smart, I think. If you're going to have a team with any measure of countermeasure to the opposing side, target bans are a must. And unfortunately for the Taken Kings last map, didn't work out for them.
Benefit coming into this, no real two ways about it. Wildcard had a minor advantage coming into the Grand Finals because they had a small gap between their semifinals and Grand Finals appearance. They offered to play earlier if the Taken Kings wanted to, and the Taken Kings were more than happy. They offered, hey, you guys want to start playing basically as soon as possible. The extent of the reason that it didn't start within like 10 minutes was because we were playing musical chairs with production staff. We still had to get people cycled in and out. That's why we didn't start at like 9 o'clock, 10 minutes after the other semifinal ended. We did start in a fairly short time. Really came down to Vipoa, I think, coming in late because they were told a different time.
Yes,
Not entirely
blame it
their
on
fault. Yeah, come on, Vipoa. No, it wasn't their fault at all. They were just told one time, and then we moved it up a little bit because we sped things up.
It's your fault.
End. But shout out, kind of. It's everybody's fault. Healthy amount of everybody's fault, I think.
I just show what I'm told.
Twiz, oh, okay. Wow, Twizzler just aggressing down towards Kanto. Finds one kill into the office, but a kill back for Vipoa. And Scuba's walking into the archives rotate. In fairly quick fashion, Taken Kings have enveloped the site and are looking to pincer on towards it itself. But JJ, still here cutting off the rotation, so if Scoob, on that Amaru, gets over-aggressive, they will quickly be taken care of from 2, maybe even 3 separate angles.
Still a very slow game right now for the Taken Kings after both sides have managed to find a very nice pick to really alleviate some of the early concerns. Losing out on your Hibana does kind of stink, but the same thing can be said heavily so for the Wildcard Aces, losing out on your Solnas. Especially when it comes to a site where if you're defending the first and or second floor, verticality is very important. For open area, you can move down to the basement and get a lot of information for when they decide to actually push that way. Speaking of pushing, Jetcon maybe over-aggresses a bit too far, pays the price from Twizzler's gun. Wumbo will refrag that one, a very consistent measure for the side of Taken Kings. 55 seconds ticking away on the clock, and Wumbo is no closer towards sight, but Scoob is from up above. deals with Bino over towards that study side, sprays through the hatch, and Deputy, aka JJ, is now forced to bring out the gat and try to enforce his own level of law, as they're the sole defender now towards that staff side. This is a dangerous spot for the Taken Kings to drop through, but they'll have to take their time to do so. 26 seconds are ticking away, and Vipoa has no respect for the breachers and beepers. It's a kill with the EDD, but Scoob swings in quickly and still takes down JJ.
The timing that really came down to it, it comes back to bite them. As soon as you look away from the small office, you look back towards the double door in which they were encroaching from, you would have had the opportunity to drop the Amaru while she fell from the ceiling, and it would have come down to a 1 versus 1. The EDDs came through to limit it down, but the missed shots come back to bite him. And it's a round victory and a follow-up there for the Taken Kings. A little bit slower on their attack, but this one still works fairly well, and the coordination is really what helped them. If they didn't time that from the double door and from the hatch at the exact same time, there would have been more than enough time to readjust from the perspective of JJ on the Fenrir, and it would have been a 1v1. But luckily for them it wasn't, and they win the round off the back of it.
2-0 starts exactly where you want to be for the Taken Kings. I have not made any Destiny references so far. I just thought about that.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you very much. I said I'd make less than yesterday, but it was going to be very easy to do so because I made a lot yesterday. Unfortunately, I don't think you're a Destiny fan, so you wouldn't get my reference.
I got a few. I've played a little bit of Destiny. Not all that much, but I got a few. I was producing, so I paid attention somewhat.
Supposedly, from the Twitch chat that was coming in afterwards from a couple of players like Burnt Turkey for the Taken Kings, their name is a reference to Destiny 1's raid, not actually to the release of the raid that came in Destiny 2 just last year, halfway through the year. They apparently used to like try to solo and duo the raid, so that's like what they named their team after or something. I'm not sure. In case you guys don't know, this is the old HK Rebels. This, if they happen to win this entire thing out, it is a 5 repeat time win here for Game Bro. If they don't, the Wildcard Aces will manage to shut down the go-to team of this event, in general, all events that are hosted here, which would be kind of impressive.
And this would be their first, and is their first, Grand Finals appearance as a team. So to shut down the 5-peat in that way is surprising, to say the very least. Gemini Replicators went by Bry, but they don't try to shoot it, so maybe the lack of information on the vertical pressure is here. We've seen this defensive setup from the Wildcard Aces before. This was their second attempt at the defensive side of the bottom floor back in their game against the Silly Geese. They made a very drastic decision to change up a lot of their defensive setup. Vipoa, very lucky to be alive because Bry just dropped the hatch, but Twizzler in the meantime has dropped to JetCon, and Bry still just stuck in a corner. A 1v5 for the P90 wielding Solus. You won't even find one, barely even saw one. Vipoa, who took a decent bit of damage earlier, swings at the perfect possible time as timing comes back to bite the Wildcard Aces, and they will in due time call a timeout.
I'd like to make a deposit of my 556 rounds directly into your torso. Taken Kings are reveling in the dough so far. Bank has been their whole rotten grounds. 3-0 start. They are routing the Wildcard Aces after a very tumultuous battle on our first map that went to an 8-6 scoreline. It required OT. The Wildcard Aces had no problems really getting the 2 in a row needed to close that one out. Taken Kings weren't really involved as much as they could have been for OT, but they're back in action here. I'm not sure why they're considering themselves the comeback kings, but second map's a good one. And they got to head to the third after this one. So even if they do take the victory and the scoreline continues in this dominant streak for the Taken Kings, I mentioned it before the broadcast started, and I mentioned it right at the start of the broadcast here for this map and this game. I actually should say this series. Taken Kings had a lot they needed to improve on when it came to Chelan. They had a lot of glaring weaknesses. I do admit that they were pretty good on the map, better than they were at Clubhouse, but they still just barely managed to take Method into OT. They had to make a comeback for it. They just did a really solid selection of OT rounds.
The question is the attack a fluke? Are the first 3 rounds just out there? Did Wildcard Aces try something that they hadn't prepped prior? Did they improperly set up? A lot of questions that still require a few answers, and I think Wildcard's going to give us them now. If they win this round, there's still more than an opportunity for them to bring back this defensive setup. But I said it at the beginning of the half. Wildcard Aces went 5-1 up in their first half against the Silly Geese. I said Taken Kings needed 2 to be okay, 3 to be somewhat comfortable. They've already surpassed and gained each of those goals respectively. They're in a good spot. Even if they do so poorly, they get flawless in 3 straight rounds, they can be okay going onto the defensive side from every aspect other than a momentum aspect. Wildcard Aces, however, their attack was not the greatest. Oh, no.
Well, it is in the prep phase, right?
Yeah,
No.
they get the rehost. Okay. You know, now's about the time where I'd say, oh yeah, Wildcard can reset their momentum, blah, 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 blah. But instead, I'm just going to say we're sending it to a break, because when we come back, hopefully things are going to come back quickly enough. I'm not going to talk your ear off, nor will the 2 of us for the next 3 or 4 minutes while we get things going. So, in the next 3 or 4 minutes, when we come back, Bank will come to a conclusion at some point throughout the match.
Eternal.
Every time we say goodbye, they all see that it's a lie. 'Cause we always give it one last try. Yeah, you've watched me break 1,000 times. Now I'm all alone, 'cause you never show. You say you will, but then you don't. That's how it goes. Don't wanna know. I'm turning off my mind so I get by. I just wanna be happy, happy tonight. Happier tonight. Happier tonight. Can't be waiting for you in the morning. I'ma leave without giving a warning. I'ma leave without giving a. But every time we say goodbye, we all know that it's a lie. Now I'm all alone, 'cause you never show. You say you will, but then you don't. That's how it goes. Don't wanna know. I'm turning off my mind so I get by. I just wanna be happy, happy tonight. Happier tonight. Happier tonight. Can't be waiting for you in the morning. I'ma leave without giving a warning. I'ma leave without giving a. But every time we say goodbye, we all know that it's a lie. I just wanna be happy.
about us and what we do. I will never leave you. I will get your heart somewhere. Voices going through my head. These voices telling me what to say about you, about us and what we do.
I'm shit too.
Let's watch some techniques.
Tech issue solved. Game nearly back underway here as we move back into bank. The first 3 rounds go the way of the Taken Kings here in our Game Rogue $1,000 Summer Splash. I'm Time Delight. Virtually joined alongside me here is Infernosis and Scott. Lots of changes have to be made for the Wildcard Aces. One of them, now a site selection as they head up to the top floor as they were planning on doing so originally before our unfortunate rehost.
Unfortunate as it may be, I don't know if there's anything more unfortunate than the Wildcard Aces being down 3-0. 2-0, they made the comeback and they won in map 1. 3-0, shame on me. That's a bit of a problem here. And I would dare say the 3-0 victories we've seen from the Taken Kings have been fairly absolute. They have been dominant recoveries for their side. They have been very strong. Meanwhile, for the Wildcard Aces, the defenses have looked prickly. Occasionally, they'll get a couple pickups. We've seen very aggressive plays when it comes up here towards the second floor balcony side. You're dealing with players over-aggressing. Saw the really nice one earlier, but personally speaking, with Office being the, in my opinion, best defense we saw from the Taken Kings, their attack was pretty darn good for it too. And this would worry me if I was from the Wildcard Aces, especially with the fact that you're going to rely heavily on those castle barricades. And the Taken Kings have brought not just one, not just two, but three pieces of utility that can destroy those easily. A lifeline impact, the breaching rounds from your Ash of Scoob, and Wumbo. Right, rocking in with the Rotero drones.
Talking about breachability as well, the Wildcard Aces, every single operator has a way to break open soft walls or flooring. Shotguns is a secondary for Riot and Beano on the castle and mirror respectively, and all three of the rest of the team has 2 impacts, of which they have not created or used any rotations. They have smartly used shotguns. Please do that, by the way, if you're playing on Oryx or anybody who has impacts, just let your shotguns do the work more often than not. It saves you some utility
when
and
I can take 5
some
HP of
flexibility.
damage?
You're right, my bad. Just taking a page out of the Wildcard Aces defensive book, I suppose.
Why
Bry
use gun
caught
when
out
you
of the
take
bottom
brain
floor.
damage?
Bry, the first death. There goes your Solus. So those vertical nades gone. Your impact grenades gone. At least 2 of the 6 you've brought to the round. And a lot of your information gathering. The defensive side also removed fairly quickly. Not the greatest of starts. What a shot.
A lot of the pressure.
He just used... Wait, did you see that? He just used 2 Ash charges to open the hatch, and then the floor below the mirror to open up the mirror itself.
It's actually very smart for the Taken King. Unfortunately, your hard breach for this round, the ranged one, the truly safe range of the Excalibur spells, is off the board. Burnt Turkey, now sitting with a soft statistic of 0-1 because of the rehost and stats had to reset. It's not necessarily where you want to be to start things off, but Bry's joining you on that stat line. Beano has not yet been removed from inside of Janitor. Needs to quickly be snuffed out. Scoob may be the proprietor of that success, but a player moving in towards the outside hall has been spotted, and Twizzler cut down quickly. Live ping onto Beano, but Beano still wins the fight. For free, the Wildcard Aces can tie things up till JetCon. Down the rappel, takes JJ to the afterlife. And you're left with just Beano with maybe 5 to 6 HP, and Riot at full. And Riot has to stay close to sight. They're barricaded up. They're castled in. They're holding up by front desk. They know the rappel was there, thankfully, for the side of Taken Kings. Or maybe not so thankfully. JetCon's already rotated away. And they're going to start sending in these Rotero drones to detonate down this site here for the final 30 seconds of this pushdown.
Finding that kill across on towards the castle, or across on towards, I think it was JJ who was sitting on the Trump desk. 20 seconds left now, and the Wildcard Aces are significantly hindered. They can't aggress as much, but Beano's actually going to try for this flank. They've not been seen, they haven't been heard, and they'll actually find the kill off the back of it. Now trying to play around their own Mira if they can, but a 1 versus 2 now sets things in motion. The C4 misses. The position of the Mira now is certainly known, but the diffuser being placed on the backside of the bomb chassis, that can be seen should Beano go to the far side of meeting. Instead, he decides to go in where the rest of the team ingressed from, and the 1v2 finally setting through, but JetCon quickly shuts it down and puts Taken Kings up 4-0 here on Bank.
Round after round, the Taken Kings have shown Bank is their map for the taking. They did it just last game, their last series before this one. One of the reasons why I said I would maybe give an edge to the Taken Kings in this series as a whole, because they were coming off a hot streak win over Team Crowley. They had a very bad second map. We flipped that one around a little bit here. We may see a 7-1 to get our second map going underway. Unfortunately for the Taken Kings, they are required to play a third if they are going to win this one out. I think that is their go-to plan. Unfortunately, also, if you watched yesterday, may look like a lot of the same exact thing. Don't get too bored just yet, folks. Taken Kings, 4-0 start. They're going to moving in now back over to the open area, dealing with break as well. For the Wildcard Aces, I think a lot of emphasis is going to be put into your Kiba barricades. Lucy Banshee's also on the board. For the Taken Kings, you may opt to go for something like a Clutch Drone to hack away a lot of that utility that's placed for the Wildcard Aces. And Scoob does exactly that, perfectly timed for it. Thank you very much, Scoob, for making me sound smarter than I am. With both EDTs, Mute Jammers, and Banshees, which are the go-to targets for most Clutch Drone hacks, it's very important the Taken Kings do not fall victim to those in the final 30 seconds, because quick plants in where they're running out of time, where they have to push into sight, become impossible to get there when you've got to turn around and wait for that Banshee to open up after it starts to web you down.
Taken Kings have continuously picked up opening kills. They've continuously picked up easier ways into the map or into the direct rooms around the site. This time around, I think, is going to be a little bit different. Considering Wildcard Ace's defensive extension to the top floor especially, they're going to have a little bit more difficulties gaining not only vertical pressure, with 4 players in the top floor, by the way, but some horizontal pressure as well because of how far that vertical pressure can extend to rooms below them. Riot's going to move their way down a little bit and help Bry on this first floor of play. But you can see that Taken Kings are playing a little bit more hesitant than what we've seen prior. Twizzler, a little overzealous, may very well be caught out, and Vipoa just walking around the top floor, able to win the fight, not only off the back of that flashbang, but information gathering from the drones. Bino now left on an island, stuck inside a janitor. They do have a hatch to drop down, should they need to get out of dodge, but the problem is, that then becomes a point of ingress for the Taken Kings, should they capture that real estate.
The great thing for the Wildcard Aces on map 1 was their realization that the go-to plan, the best case scenario, is not allowing the Taken Kings close to sight and those dominant positions. But that's not going to happen. They're going to get there. It's a matter of buying time. And for the Wildcard Aces, Bino's presence in Janitor, whole presence in the second floor, was all just to buy time. All just to keep the Taken Kings at bay for as long as possible. Speaking of that link, Vipoa, who had found the first blood in this round, onto Twizzler, very impactful play for the side of the Wildcard Aces. They keep a barricades they wanted to make sure were not impactful in the round. They'll fall. That's rough for Vipoa. Those were nades you had in the back pocket. The only ones you brought here in this round, shockingly enough, are no longer available. That information is there. Player in archive spotted and dusted. It's Bry taken down by LSW in the hands of Wumbo. Perfect play for the Taken Kings, who look to strive up to a 5-0 start. They've got 3 more players they have to cut down safely.
Ooh. JJ's trying to play a bait setup to allow Bino to activate in the later stages of the round. Even if JJ's either dead here or seen here, that's still a flank possibility in the later stages of the round. Keep an eye on that. The later stages should Taken Kings aggress in through square, because Bino has not been seen, heard, or droned at any point in this round. They haven't even taken a shot on that far side. Smokes and Candelas popped. Riot will avoid both of them and still look to aggress over towards the printer window, but the timing gets the better of them. Jetcon finds that kill from a distance, and Bino now forced to aggress. JJ can't even try and play for these fights because he has no vision whatsoever. That obfuscation of eyesight has worked to near perfection here for the Taken Kings. And a 4-0 lead, very soon going to turn into 5. The position of the Melusi known, only a single kill found. The Taken Kings, a 5th here for their attack.
Talk about trying to lock in for the later stages of that round, trying to assist a player to pop off big, but unfortunately the Wildcard Aces got swept up into the action. A great shot, honestly. The Taken King side from, I believe it was JetCon, had a great angle in from that archive side, stepping over towards staff. Oh no, I apologize. From main hall side towards Beepers, to remove the player that was trying to swing over once again towards that printer window, where your current Yang was trying to toss out a bit of Yuto. It was a perfect timing for that cap can to remove that player in window and stick there for a while. It would have been great if Riot had gotten it. Riot got caught up in the action instead and was sent to the afterlife too early, and the Taken Kings used that momentum to swing things up to a 5-0 start. We're back down to the basement though. This was the side I would dare say the Taken Kings have struggled the most on. The Wildcard Aces didn't necessarily give them the best run for their money. They gave up a lot of space. Bride was forced away from that hatch that got hot dropped by 2 for the Taken Kings, and still did not get a kill despite a second player dropping in their face. That has to change for the Wildcard Aces. That is the #1 thing on their to-do list. Zone away these hatches and make sure the Taken Kings have no safe space to step into in this basement.
It comes down to whether or not the Wildcard Aces can keep some control while still not being forced to over-aggress. Riot's sitting on the top floor as a Mozzie. JJ's playing Vigil, so you know they are reaching very deep into the strat book. I think we've reached, like, strat AA in the drop-down menu. And Burnt Turkey, now, already finding an opening kill. Vipoa is being actively droned into the site, and nobody's here. Vipoa can just walk in if they want, because nobody is even anywhere near the site. Bry's on the top floor. Bino is the only person here, but they may not have heard it. The cross has already come through. Vipoa, occupying the site itself, has found the opener, and Wildcard Aces are nowhere near here. Twizzler's on the hatch, Bry's on marble, and Vipoa's in the back corner of vaults. Where are Wildcard? The answer? In the grave.
just now dropping into basement. One of their players is still up on the first floor. They had to drop from second to first. They can't even make it. It's just Twizzler and Twizzler. Dusted by Scoob, 2 kills in quick succession. None of the hash plays, none of the defense was there. Where's the callouts? Where's the hasty retreat back? The Taken Kings say, if we can just poke and prod our Nook direct between these two sites, we will have found the biggest weakness for the Wildcard Aces, and it was perfect. 6-0. One more round from a flawless game in general for our second map. But it's back to the defense, and this is pretty darn tough. Obviously, especially if you're a Wildcard Aces fan. That's your coping mechanism. Attacker favorite map, guys.
I don't know, to be completely honest with you, where Wildcard Aces went. Map 1, 100%. About as close as things get. 8-6 victory. They had some struggles throughout, but they still looked fairly decent on a consistent basis. In the rounds they lost, they did so in fairly close fashion. So the Taken Kings had something to make up for, but still something to look forward to. That is not the case if we go to Chalet in a 7-0, 7-1, or even 7-2 fashion. I don't care how much momentum the Wildcard Aces can build up over the next 6 or 7 minutes. Taken Kings have been about as dominant as you can be. Flawless round to close things out. Miscommunications throughout from the Wildcard Aces. I don't care that you're having tech issues. They happen, sure, whatever. They haven't directly impacted any specific round to the point where they played a 4v5 or a 3v5. They had an FPS bug for one player, of which was solved in a round, and JJ lagged out, and we got it rehosted. After that, nothing. A whole lot of nothing. And now, it seems like Wildcard Aces are going to try and rush. Do they just want to go to Chalet as soon as possible? That seems to be the case.
Oh, they're just going in. Fry gets first blood, is quickly fragged back. Taken Kings pounce in for a 4 versus 3 now. The Viapo is P90, guzzling of Twizzler. Riot's going to move in fairly quickly. Bry's not too far behind, though, but they're on the opposing sides of the map. It's a fairly widespread attempt here for the Wildcard Aces, and I think there's a player in Garage trying to do the same strategy the Taken Kings did. Yeah, Riot's in.
What?
They've got one, make it 2. Jetcon through hatch. That's your own sight, buddy. What are you defending? Scoob's got to watch his flank. Knows the fact that a player's inside gold.
Oh, no.
And also no. Security. There's R6 timing at its finest. It's Vipoa.
That's the fuser.
So the Vipers bite for 1, make it 2. A 4K required. Bino stuck as the lone man remaining for the Wildcard Aces. The only chance they have now to stop a 7-0 comeback again in this round for the Taken Kings. There's 90 seconds for them to find that space, and there it is. Bino saves the Wildcard Aces from a humbling round, to say the least. But it does at least mean they stay here for a little while longer.
About as chaotic as things could have gotten, especially considering the Taken Kings defensive setup as well. For some reason, the Taken Kings had to play a pincer maneuver to retake the backside of site in Vault. And it almost worked. You talked about it. Rainbow Six Siege timing at its finest. I have a sneaking feeling that they may become a little bit more of a consistent factor. I mean, Wildcard Aces have won one round. They are 16% of the way to bringing this one back.
Casters don't do math, Dan. Do you not know that?
I know simple percentages. I know percentages up
simple.
to
It would have taken me
1/8.
20 minutes to figure out.
It's 16.666.
Whoa.
1/6.
Careful there.
Yeah, I know, double number and everything. Let's see. 1/6 is 16, 1/7 is 14, and 1/8 is 12.5.
So, bro, it's R6, not Diablo 4. We're talking about a game that's like 10 years old, not just released. Keep yourself out. Stay watchful.
That one confused me. Can you explain that joke to me?
Yeah, got you. So Diablo just released, and R6 is old as dirt. So
Oh, okay.
that makes sense. Adding all those things together, even though casters don't do math, you get a very unfortunate storyline so far for the Wildcard Aces, Dan. 6-0, they get a first, an extremely close one. Vipoa honestly had the best shot possible to do that. A 4K almost, still got a 3. Still happy with your result. But I think the Wildcard Aces are going to play a lot slower. There's no way. There's just no way. They do the exact same thing of sprinting into this map as fast as possible. But I say that, there goes Bry. He's already down about half HP.
He tried. He was like, no, I'm going right back out the way I
like
came
this
in.
guy.
Took some damage and was running for the hills. Or running for the sewers, in this case. Wildcard Ace is certainly having some difficulties, but I like their pre-round setups that we're seeing as well. Yeah, it is only the second attacking round, but they've droned out fairly well on this top floor, and this clearance should be fairly quick. The fact that there's no Solus on the defensive side should lead to a fairly advantageous roam clear with drones, assuming that, you know, nobody just goes drone hunting out of left field. I say that as Burnt Turkey finds one, and immediately dies because he was walking in front of a soft wall that was already open. Yeah, I'm going to echo you on that one. He was running for a grave, I suppose.
That's just not what you want to see. That's your thin rear, all those dread out mines that you're really hoping to keep onto for as long as possible. No longer there. That's a little bit rough to see. But they do manage to get Twizzler down quickly after the fact, who's had a very rough game, now sitting 0-5. Riots, who may be joining them, going 3-5. Currently DB and 0. It's still possible to be collected and picked back up. But there is the ever-present danger of a player hiding behind desk. It's Scoop. You need to keep Scoop alive for as long as possible. If you're trying to work off that yokai drone, they've been spotted straight through. There's no way Scoop gets away with it. Finally, taken down. It's Bry to clean up for it. Riots may actually be able to be picked up here. JetCon was trying to engage, but is forced away. Will Bry make it down the staircase, the oh-so-golden-clad steps to get to their teammates? I think they will.
He's got to go, though. There we go.
He's got to go, yeah.
Again, certainly attainable clutch here. EE1D is going to be popped, but Wumbo's tucked in the corner. They have a laser sight, though. Laser sights are visible to the opposing team, and if they line up the geometry well enough, again, Rainbow Six players may not be mathematicians, but you can see Riot looking for it, aware of the possibility one could be here, but there's the swing, and there's one for Wumbo. The 1-for-1 trade, though, for the Taken Kings, that's a low HP player that you trade up for a full health Lion. You're more than happy with that, especially considering the Lion still had one EE1D remaining, and Vipoa is more than happy to play a little bit more aggressive because of that. And Wildcard Aces having to condense their attacking setup a little bit more. JJ joining with Bino and Bry on the other side, apparently seeing the head, looking for it, and knowing he's there, but still loses the fight. One picked up from JetCon. Bino playing with a pistol through the shelf, trying to find a kill if he can pick it up, and he does! What a pickup there for Bino! Wildcard pick up a second, 1/3 of the way to the comeback.
What a showcase from the Wildcard Aces. The Taken Kings, honestly, all had a shot there. You said it was an obtainable clutch? Absolutely. The first stand-up from open area to take down a player at Beepers was impressive. The issue was both players of the Wildcard Aces are lying down behind the kitchen counter, and that is indestructible. You have Bomb Chassis itself as well to go with. The second that diffuser is down, they're standing up, and you'll have two players to spray back your way. It's almost unobtainable through that point. Unfortunate that we see Vipoa over-aggress there. Honestly, was a little bit shocked to see that. You have the Kiba barricades. You have the lockdown available to stop them from stepping in from, office side from that archived breach. You have a Kiba barricade you can place behind you. You know they can't move in through wall because the one opening they had created, you keep it off. Those barricades are your ironclad defense. And unfortunately, you let them push through it like it was a wet sponge, and that is just the wrong take. The Taken Kings will have to be, unfortunately, kept at bay from their map 2 victory for a little bit longer.
A little bit. That's what you said last round. Word for word, I believe, as a matter of fact. And Wildcard Aces, they're not slowing down on this attacking side. Maybe it's just how Bank goes today? A brief reminder, by the way. Wildcard Aces have already played Bank once today. They won it in 7-3 fashion after picking up a 5-1 defensive half. Which, for all of you who have not been paying attention, is the side they started on and lost 6 consecutive rounds on in this iteration of that exact same map.
So things are obviously not going up to par.
No.
That's what you're getting at here.
Bingo. It's not good. Let's put it that way. But hey, they're making a comeback. There's still a way back into this. There's still rounds to play, and the last couple rounds have been fairly good for them, all things considered. Nice little shot from Bino, and oh my goodness, timing.
Oh
Bryce
my
somehow
goodness.
doesn't win the fight. He had his entire body in front of you. Twizzler still wins the opening engagement, so you're still happy with that if you're Wildcard, and you know that Scoob is here, but how do you try and clear this? Active droning? That seems to be the case. Burnt Turkey's here for support. They have redundancy here for a single avenue of attack, and Bry apparently could not care less. JetCon should be aware of it, and Bry still wins the fight. Yeah, why not?
I'm not sure why Scoob swings that. Scoob had assistance from Burnt Turkey watching the sewer opening. Drone goes out, information there. Burnt Turkey, better hope you've got a dread mine set up there or over towards blue stairs. Doesn't seem to be either players there that were finding success. Instead, it'll be JetCon off screen. I just find the first pick up here for the side of the Taken Kings. 90 seconds remaining. Beeper push by Bino. Could be the right idea if they try to regress here into sight, but Diffuser's been left back all the way in towards main entrance and they'll have to sprint their way on over. Pick that one up. Missing out a couple Selmas here, Dan. Not sure you're too harped in on the heart breach, but you did need to deal with those hatches, and that could get a little bit more difficult if you lose another player, and that's the case. What a shot from the Vector. The 45 ACP rips through Twizzler's skull. And that's now an even 3 versus 3.
Becomes a significant problem for Wildcard. They were banking on the fact that Twizzler could be safe around that garage side to set up a full pincer from 3 or 4 separate directions. One of them being down Marble, where JJ's looking to aggress, and they flashed themselves in the process of doing so. 45 seconds left. The extent of defensive utility, the preset dread mines, and a C4 pre-ripped here for Wumbo. In it will go, almost to the demise of 2, but what has it landed on? The side of the vault? They just walk in. It either missed or they shot it. It seems to have missed, and because of it, Wumbo dies. The backside of vault now gained, and a 2v3 for the Taken Kings to try and close out Bank.
The worst timeline imaginable for the toss there, but Burnt Turkey is here too.
What?
The Taken Kings strike! And they'll find themselves a map victory. It took them a couple tries. The Wildcard Aces could not hold out on their attack. And the Taken Kings defense will prove, actually, throw that the other way. Their attack will prove insurmountable, and their defense will prove too big of an obstacle still to overcome.
Their defense was kind of there. I think that's about where they were at. They were there